Nation of Fit in 10. It is day 27, and we are closing in on 4 weeks here. And at the end of next week, it'll be 5 weeks. It'll be the halfway point, if you can believe it. Super fast, right? All right. One thing I just want to say, I want to remind you of, and it just came up this morning when I did one of the final scans that I had remaining, is that your weight is not indicative of change. Okay, and how can it be when our bodies, for the most part, I mean, it depends on the individual, but for the most part, we are somewhere around 60 or 70% water. If we are 60 or 70% water, and we are not, this is not static, it's, you know, we know this is not static. We go to the washroom, we sweat, you know, we breathe out. We're taking fluids in, we're taking food in, right? Things are coming in and out. We're going through stress, we're getting sleep, maybe not enough sleep, maybe, well, probably not too much sleep. We're exercising, we are dynamic beings, all right? So the water, the amount of water in our body is, it's always gonna be within a rough range, but it's never going to be exact. And this is gonna change, always. So this is not a reflection of your fat mass. This is not a reflection of the amount of fat you have. So your weight does not reflect your fat necessarily, okay? I'm gonna give you a ridiculous example, but it's one that I just like to put out there just to, you know, emphasize my point. If I cut off my arm, I'm going to weigh less. It doesn't mean I'm leaner, okay? In fact, I lost actually a lot of lean mass if I cut off my arm. So in fact, I'm actually gonna end up being fat, or at least from a body fat percentage standpoint. So your weight it just means you lost some sort of mass. It doesn't mean that mass is fat. We have other mass on our body, okay? So your weight, judging your weight, you know, this goes the other way too. For guys, you know, especially when I was younger, maybe not so much now, but if you're a young guy and you're, you know, trying to get, quote, bigger, you know, ultimately we're thinking putting on some muscle, and maybe ladies out there too. Seeing the weight going on the scale, we think, oh, it's more muscle. No. Chances are it's water, okay? It's probably water and maybe some fat, especially if you're overindulging calories. But my point here is that you will lose fat and you will lose a little bit over time. It's unlikely you're going to lose a lot of fat in a short period of time without doing something that's drastic. So if you came to this challenge and you've made a massive change to your lifestyle, it's very possible that you're going to see a big change in your fat mass in a short period of time, but more than likely not. You're going to lose a little bit of fat over time. So again, it's about ticking off those check boxes every day, making a couple steps ahead every single day, and over time, week after week after week after week, we're going to see more and more and more change, and it all adds up, right? All right, so I think you guys, well, you should pretty much all of you be very proud of your results, because, you know, this group has been quite outstanding, and you can see that, you know, your weight doesn't necessarily reflect the amount of fat that you lost, right? But pretty much everybody's done super, super good. Okay, and if you're struggling, that's okay. This is normal. All right, we have a lot of people that struggle in the beginning and do well still in the end. All right, enough of my ranting here. Let's get into this. Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? Fruit. I bought a cantaloupe the other week and then was surprised just how many carbs it consumed in my budget. I'm finding this hard to incorporate and balance with other macros. I do berries and smoothies, but what else can I eat? All right, so this is a perfect example of why I have you measure out food, okay? Because it's not so much that, I mean, for the sake of the challenge, this is important. But one of the things this does is it empowers you, because you learn what foods contain what and roughly how much. So then when you come out of this challenge, you know, when you sit down to eat something, you can look at a plate and be like, for the most part, you'll know, you know, what you're eating and what kind of impact this will have. Okay, so in the case of a cantaloupe here, yeah, I mean, cantaloupe, this is fruit. Fruit is carbohydrate based for the most part. I mean, I think I mentioned this the other day. I mean, what's one exception? Avocado, okay? I think nuts are considered fruit actually as well. We don't think of nuts as fruit, but I think they are considered fruit. So those would be, you know, obviously those are not carbohydrate based, not really. I mean, nuts have a bit of carbs, and so does avocado, but for the most part, it's more fat. But when we think about everyday fruits, when we think about whatever, kiwis, bananas, berries, oranges, apples, whatever, cantaloupe, mango, you name it, these are all carbs. Carbs, carbs, carbs. All right, so we shouldn't be, I don't think we should. I don't think it's going to be good for you, and I don't think you're going to do very well managing your body composition by eating a ton of carbs, all right? And North American diet is, for the most part, tons of carbs. The base of people's diets is carbs, and I know this because when I look at your food journals, not now because a lot of food journals are great, but especially in the beginning, you'd see meals which are like, okay, you're getting carbs, but you're not getting anything else. All right, so this is not good for us. We need to be eating some fat. We need to be eating some protein as well, okay? Especially protein. Protein is actually really, you know, half of the amino acids are essential. We can't even make them, right? And in fact, if there's one thing we can live without, if there is one thing, and I'm not saying we should do this, I'm just saying, if there's one thing we could live without, it's actually carbs. That's the one thing we could live without and still be healthy. Protein and fat, no. All right, so question is, I do berries and smoothies, but what else can I eat? Okay, so berries are great. These are actually a lower carb fruit. They tend to be more fibrous. Now I did do some recipes in here for smoothies, but here's some things that you can add. So fat sources for shakes, we can look at various nut butters, okay, whether it's peanut butter or mixed nut and seed butter. Costco carries it. There's one there that's called mixed nut and seed butter. They've also got just a mixed nut butter as well. There's almond butter, there's cashew butter, there's all kinds of different butters you can use, okay? These are great fat sources for shakes. We could put avocado in there, we could do raw nuts, we can do ground flaxseed, we can do coconut oil, we can do chia seed, etc. Okay, these are all fat sources, primarily fat sources that you can add into your shake. Now, when it comes to proteins, yeah, maybe a little bit harder, but we could do regular yogurt, okay, regular plain yogurt, of course. We can do Greek yogurt, we could do kefir, we could do real milk, okay, real whole milk. Of course, protein powder, okay, and protein powder of various kinds, if you like, various flavors. All right, so you can mix it up between whatever, vanilla and chocolate. I mean, those are the kind of standard flavors, but you know, if you go with some other brands out there, they have varying flavors. And you can use different kinds of proteins. Now, I would highly suggest either a beef or a whey. If you have allergies, you'll probably do better with a beef. If you're vegan, obviously, you're going to probably stick with something like a pea protein or a soy protein. Not really big on those. The protein quality is not as good. It's not as bioavailable. That means you're going to pass more of it through your body. But still better than nothing. Obviously, much better than nothing, okay? So these will be really, really great proteins, all those to go in a shake. In terms of fruits, I don't know if you're asking about fruit or not, but you know, you can do things like bananas, peaches, cantaloupe, pineapple, mango, kiwis, orange, dates. Dates would be awesome. Honey. There's just so much that can go in here. And then if you're looking for other liquids, you can use coconut water or regular water. I just use regular water for my shakes. You can even use different nut milks if you like. I'm not really huge on them. They tend to have some of these gums added to them that cause distress to the intestinal tract. They actually damage the intestinal tract. Things like Kerrigan and other gums. So just be careful with that. All right, let me read one more question here because it's really kind of, I don't know what I've been talking about for 9 minutes here. Okay, electrolytes. What is the difference in salting my food or using soy sauce and taking an electrolyte mix? Should I not take an electrolyte if I already ate a lot of salty foods in the day? Okay, so this is great that you're eating salty foods, and especially if you're using pink salt, because pink salt is going to have some more of the other minerals in there, not just sodium. But sodium is the major electrolyte of the human body. But we also want things like potassium and chlorine and zinc to some degree, and calcium, magnesium, of course. We want all of these, and we need these for proper functioning of the human body, for all kinds of processes. So you're not going to get, if you're just having salt, especially if it's white salt, then you're not going to be getting some of these other electrolytes. So you may want to take an electrolyte mix. Now, if you're getting lots of real whole foods, okay, lots of fruits and vegetables, then you are going to get some of those other electrolytes, right? Your calcium and your magnesiums. And not just from that, actually, you get it from meat as well. Calcium, magnesium, or from your dairy products. Potassium, etc., especially if you're eating organs, okay, organ meat, which is, you know, for the most part, very, very nutrient dense and highly bioavailable. But I guess that's maybe another topic I can talk about for another day. Okay, let me just read one more thing here. Overall, I feel good, body tired, but good. I have not been drinking or engaging in emotional or impulsive eating. Great, very good to hear. I know some of my food choices have been in the avoid category, but none of them have been my go-to comfort or danger foods. I've had a number of food cravings and I've been able to say no. Okay, so this is awesome. And I want to just say to this person who wrote me this person did exceptionally well on their scan. So kudos to you. Yeah, you know, I'm still going to, I'm, you know, don't get me wrong if I'm, you know, saying, you know, don't eat this, don't, you know, watch this, blah, 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 blah. If I'm being hypercritical, I am going to find those things. I'm going to point them out, but you are doing exceptionally well. And so I don't want you to think that, you know, you're not, because you are doing super, super well. And obviously you've made some really good relative change, which is super important. Okay. If you're way over here and then you're here and I want you to be here, the fact that you still got to here is huge, and it's going to make a massive impact, which it is because we see it from your scan, right? Okay. Let's see the message of the day. Message of the day on this day 27. What do we got here? I didn't look at it. And yeah, well, you know, it's very, very true. You cannot find time. You got to make time. Okay, I know we all know this, but you know, whenever we say we don't have time for something, it really just means it's not that important to us. Okay, well, maybe that's not fair to say, but we're not prioritizing it. And I realize there's only so much we can prioritize in our life. So you just have to decide if it's that important to you. In your list of everything you have to do, how important is it to you? How much are you going to make it a priority, right? So there is no such thing as you don't have time. It's just a question of are you going to prioritize it? Okay? And part of this is organization, okay? But for the most part, it's just about being honest with yourself. Are you going to prioritize it? And if you are, you'll get it done, just like you are for the many other things that you get done on a regular basis. Why do you get it done? Because you make it a priority to get it done, right? You cannot find time, rather you have to make time. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, get some gratitude, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. See you guys.